some of that money was warranted because it was directly from the classroom, and some of that money was all kinds of soft money for special projects, and that concerned me personally.
Aren't there ways of establishing departments and faculty within departments whose job corresponds with a similar job in the private sector, and then you can compare those jobs and salaries, and faculty can actually petition to have their salaries re-evaluated according to the market rate?
Yeah, but the cheesy thing is you're telling, okay, what they try to do is send you out on the marketplace to try to get a job at another university, not in the private sector, but at another university. Okay, they offered you a job. The only problem is now you have two choices. One of them is you're either stay at your university, you've actually used the other university job to up your salary, or you end up leaving. It's kind of like saying to your wife, why don't you date? You know, it's just, I mean, that's how we do equity-based salaries. I don't know if we do anything with the private sector. I don't think of our job as being anything like the private sector myself.
There are some departments that have this more, they have this comparison that can be made more easily than going on the job market. You just pull the data out. At one point in time, we were thinking about doing an NFEA, looking at, for example, the salaries of producers, because our faculty actually produce motion pictures and videos just like they do in the real world, so-called real world, and then petition for an adjustment to our salary, not from campus, not from soft money, but from Sacramento in terms of the serial position being updated. And this, I think, is one of the things that's interesting. Rather than going through that process, we have another subterranean process going on where soft money is used to curry favor with faculty, who then become allied with the person that's giving them the money.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not against faculty making extra money.
No.
I have just seen it, I think, used in a kind of cronyistic way.
Gotcha. And what we've discovered, and this again goes to leadership and if we really know the people we have running things for us and why it's critical that we do. As you know, about 3 weeks ago, we outed the fact that the Bob Cole Conservatory here has not been funded. The name was changed. Every year they've announced that the entire incoming cohort of students receive scholarships from Bob Cole to pay their freight. And in fact, there's never been a single penny that's come over from Bob Cole. So where's the money been coming from? Now we're back to a little bit of what Mary was hinting at, which is our leaders are moving money around to cover the bill, to pay the freight for things that they lied to us about. Who are these people? Interestingly enough, New York Times yesterday covered a similar incident at Center College in Kentucky, which we're investigating at the moment because it's the strangest coincidence in the world for me personally. I've never heard of Center College in my life until a couple of months ago when I learned that Kern Alexander, King Alexander's father, is an alumnus and a big award winner there, and actually went to school and is close with the gentleman who promised them the biggest donation in the history of the school, $240 million, which they announced in the same way. It's going to go for scholarships, it's going to pay for this, it's going to pay for all our liberal arts students, blah, 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 blah. And then yesterday it was discovered it was a scam. Not a single dime was going to actually change hands. There were strings on this donation. He was using the promise of the donation to refinance his company through his trust in Bermuda. Okay, that's how complicated this got. So he was basically, as best as I can piece it back together, and I'm still digging into it, so don't hold me to the exact reason he did all this, but it appears that he was refinancing, and the profit he would have had to have paid taxes on for refinancing, he was pretending was going over to the university, which was never going to go there in full. And Moody's actually downgraded, this all started because Moody's said something's fishy here, and they downgraded the value of his company back in August, around late July, August, because they said it looks like he's selling part of his company to the college. What's with that? And yet he's trying to refinance to the tune of $100 million at the same time. And so we haven't got, the New York Times reporters on it, Wall Street Journal's on it, I'm on it, a bunch of us are on it trying to figure out what went on. But it was the exact same thing that worked here for Bob Cole. They used Bob Cole the lie that there was Bob Cole money so that they could release other endowment money that other donors had put in and had not allowed them to use, even though they'd been already taking the tax deduction. I don't know if this is too technical tax-wise for you guys. But they were basically what the leadership here was doing was saying to donors, pretend to give us money and we will give you a tax deduction. And we will put it on our books so that we can announce that we are huge fundraisers. But you know what, guys? Here's the cool part. You never really have to give us any money. They did that across the board. This has been happening like crazy here. Because of King Alexander, we seem to be the model for it, and it's happened elsewhere now. And there may be instances in other CSUs we can check out as well. But we're beginning to isolate more and more here. And of course, the big one here is the biggest donation in the history of Cal State Long Beach, $16.2 million from Bob Cole, doesn't exist. But it did cause other people to come in with matching funds and put in another $1.5 million to build the pavilion and do things down there, thinking they were adding it on to the Bob Cole donation, which hasn't happened. So the school accidentally agreed to a public records act request that we made and gave us stuff. And then they realized what they'd given us. Now they're not giving us anything anymore. So we have to decide if we're going to sue to demand it. But they gave us enough to prove what we've proved. So leadership, it's critical. Numbers are critical. I don't think you can be faculty or students anymore in this world and not learn business. You should all go take Mary's classes.
I majored in English and
Very
I just wanted to make a living.
Very good.
I don't know if I recommend
You've got to know what you're up to, and we've got to know what's going on tax-wise. So Michael, you're going to do some numbers for us.
We'll do Errol. I'll do one.
No, do numbers.
Well,
Lay out the issues. Well, because we want to talk about